Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is Jolty, and today I'm going to be talking about how to add a Pokemon to Fire Red with the Complete Fire Red upgrade and Dynamic Pokemon expansion. I have Icicle here. They have their own move set. They have their own typing, unique sprite set. They do not replace Cyndaquil, and they have their own Pokedex entry. That is number 1 on the Pokedex list, and I'm going to show you how to do all of this today. When it comes to unique moves and abilities, I currently am still learning that. That'll have to come to another video, but for now, here's how to add a Pokemon. Okay, so one thing I'd say for sure is that do not use this add one new feature. It looks very tantalizing. You can just add Pokemon like this, but it's very likely going to break your ROM just because of the memory limitations and everything of GBA. Dynamic Pokemon expansion uses a very specific method through code and specific offsets, and it automatically, dynamically expands the Pokedex for you. It just takes a lot more code work. So I wouldn't add it using this feature. It even warns you in Hexmaniac Advance, probably you shouldn't use it. But we have all our base stats and everything in here once everything is completed, and you can mess around with small things from here once you have everything added. For our Dynamic Pokemon expansion, we have a huge list to work with here. I'll be leaving this in the description of the video. It looks very daunting, but we're going to do things one at a time, and it gets easier the longer you do it. So, Dynamic Pokemon expansion, because that's where a majority of this is going to be. Oop. There we go. And we are going to work from here. So, include this set right here. We'll be talking about sprites and how they work when we get to that. But for now, let's go ahead and define the species in num.h. Also, to be clear, we'll be adding Quillactite today, which is the evolution to Icicle, which I've been showing. Looks like this guy. It's a little blurry because of the pixel art size. It's 64 by 64, but we have everything we need here. We have the Cry, we have the front sprite, and the back sprite. And I'll show you how to make these and get them indexed correctly in a moment. So let's go ahead and go to Dynamic Pokemon expansion. Let's go to include, and the first thing we're going to do is go to species. You can do these in technically any order. If you don't have the sprites ready yet, you can do everything except for the sprites. You can do maybe save the Cry for last, maybe save the Pokedex entry for last. I'm just kind of doing it in the order I put because it makes the most sense to me. So we have a bunch of stuff here. We have a long list of species. This is claiming and defining all of the species in the game. That goes all the way down to the Gigaform, the Gigantamax forms, to the to these Gigantamax forms, and like Gen 8. And at this point, we have Gen 9 is not available yet, although there is a version of Complete Fire Red upgrade and Dynamic Pokemon expansion for Gen 9. I've heard it's not recommended as it's a bit unstable at the moment. It's still being worked on. So for now, I've just been keeping on with the Gen 8 version. That's the original version of CFRU. And Selenian forms are right here. This is my own version, so this is where we started adding things. It will be noted that this bottom line here used to be num_species, species_Urshifu Rapid Giga. You're always going to want this to be your last value in your set. Additionally, these all have specific hex codes. They count up in a very weird way. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it goes A, B, C, D, and E. And I still haven't quite figured out how to translate this, but if you just look at the order, it's going in here, then it goes into E, then it goes into C, and then... So we're on F3 right now. F4 for Icicle. And we are going to hashtag define species_Quillactite. I'm going to have to remember how to spell that every single time. 4F5. Once we get to 4F9, and instead of doing 4F10, we do 4FA. And then 4FB, and so on. And we're going to change this num species to Quillactite +1 instead of Icicle +1. We're going to save that, and then we are done with that. Next step is going to be cry data. So we open up cry data. We are defining the cry in-game. We have extern U8 cry gcry isoquil already. I'm actually going to just copy paste that and change the name to quilactite. I swear I'm going to get an error because this is a weird spelling and it's gonna cost me. Let's go ahead and include. So this is done at this point. We define the cry. We will add the lab of the cry to my audio folder in a bit, just because the cry table is later on. This is just defining different things that we have. So now we're going to go to Pokedex data, Pokedex.h, and we're going to define our boy. There are two different things we need to do here. Let's go ahead and go all the way to the bottom. Not quite to the bottom, once it gets to the end of the national dex section, before it starts going to extern const, we are going to go ahead and... okay. Right. I'm remembering how this works now. I haven't done this in like a week, and then I went back into my own tutorial, and it's gone from there. Something I forgot to say at the beginning of the video, huge shoutouts to 1D on Discord for helping me out so much with this. He is the one who basically gave me this tutorial, and now I'm doing this as a video to show to other people, including other people helping with my ROM hack. So, National Dex Isoquil, 899, and you're starting to count up as you go because this is just an next National Dex count. You can technically insert them anywhere, but I'm just finding them at the bottom for now. Define quilactite has been here. Final underscore dex underscore entry will no longer equal national dex isoquil. It will actually equal this. Similar to the num species from earlier. We want this to always be the final entry. And then national dex final entry is +1. And then we're going to go at the bottom here to define the dex entry. We get to the very bottom here, and we extern const u8 dex underscore entry underscore quilactite brackets semicolon. Save that. I'm just making sure I saved everything. Yep. Okay. Knock that off the list. So next is sprite data. And to do sprite data, I want to make sure we understand how Dynamic Pokemon Expansion does its sprites and how we index these sprites. So we're going to go into graphics. We have front sprite, back sprite, and Poke icon. If we go into front sprite here, go all the way to the bottom, not quite to the exact bottom. There's a certain point where alternate forms like the Giga forms come up here. But for now, we're looking at the end here as it counts up. 1227, 1229, 1230, 12131, 1234 Isoquil is mine at the very bottom. And then there's always a .s at the end, but almost every single one has, I believe, are generated as they're made, because I did not make this. This is like a processing thing that comes in later, that it's made when it's built. Oh, I just closed the entire thing. Okay, well, it'll take a minute to open when I get back to it. So to get this, we want to have our sprites ready, right? And we have these ready. I'm going to show you how I worked on these and how I got them indexed already. And in the off chance we don't have things indexed, I will show you how to fix that in a moment. So let me show you how I did this. Firstly, we have a copy of what your mod is, with the complete Fire Road upgrade and Dynamic Pokemon Expansion already installed. It doesn't have to have everything installed if you're just modifying another Pokemon. I personally recommend working the sprites in here. It's a bit more limited than you would get from, say, like GIMP or Krita, but it automatically indexes the palette numbers. So if we go into my trash ROM here, and I go into Quilava here, it's not Quilava, it's now Quilactite. I've been messing with the actual sprite and like kind of semi-editing it. if you wanted to do a Pokemon that was completely new, you could even take, like, say, Dragonite and just erase everything and start from scratch. I do it in Hexmaniac Advance because it automatically indexes the palette for me, which is important later. Most importantly, because in Dynamic Pokemon Expansion, all of the front sprites are going to be normal, and all of the back sprites are shiny. The reason it does this, and we can even open one to see, is that the palette of the shiny is taken from the back sprite, and the palette from the normal Pokemon's palette is the front sprite. So we want both of them to be indexed in the right order. See how both of these say, like, I want to say this is the main body of Dragonite here, and this is like its dark green on the back sprite. These need to communicate with each other, so all of the colors need to be in the correct order. Exporting these directly from HMAX Advance has them already exported, or already indexed, excuse me, which makes it easier. If you do need to index your colors, I will refer you to a different video. If you need more information on how to fix an index and getting this correct, I would recommend this video, which I'll leave in the description, which is made by Anthroid. That has to do with battle sprite replacement. It's not quite about Pokemon sprites and how they communicate between the regular and the shiny palette, but if you need to reorder your palette at all in terms of indexing, this person will show you how to do it with this program. So, once you have everything indexed correctly, we're going to go ahead and put both of these in their respective folders. I just realized I don't have the icon downloaded, but we're going to get this in here. Make sure it's the next number up. It's not going to be at the very bottom. These are all the Giga forms, but they're going to be right here. We have this one in. We're going to go to back sprite, and we're going to do the same thing. We have a new entry here. And then we're going to go to Poke Icon, and then I'm going to get the get the icon exported, because I just realized I didn't do that. G icon sprite 1 2 3 4 5 or 1 2 3 5 Willactite. I believe that is the G icon sprite. Yep. Okay, and we're gonna put this at the very bottom as well, right underneath Icicle. 1 2 3 4 is gonna be your first entry. Usually, if you're going straight on numbers. And then you'll be going up from there. So there we have Icicle. We have the evolution right here, fittingly. If you plan on having other evolutions and you're not going to do them yet, I'd skip them just to have the room for them later, to have them next to their other forms. Also, something of note here, we've been talking about palettes and making sure they're indexed correctly, and I did not mention the icon palette, because every single icon in Fire Red uses the exact same 16 color palette. This makes it a little limited, but it's very possible to make something unique with it. If you go to, they can be in different orders, but they're usually the exact same. If I go to like Ditto, say, this is the same palette, just a little bit mixed up. It's not, but like, what the fuck? Now you may have noticed we talked about the palette of both of these, making sure they were indexed correctly, but not the icon sprite. The icon's a bit tricky, as these are predetermined in the game's code and cannot be edited. Editing these just breaks things more, so in general, whatever you have, you're going to be having to work with, which makes it a little bit complicated, but usually this is a very good set of colors, so not too worried about it for now. Editing Jamie at it again. As it turns out, this is not a palette. This is when I didn't understand how icon palettes worked, and I messed it up with Icicle, and it was the same ROM that I had earlier. So this is not a real sprite palette. It does get messed up later, and I do fix it later. But at the moment of this recording, I did not know that. So that's why this is here. But yeah, good job, Jolty, editing Jolty out. So, now that we've taken a bit of a sprite break, now that we've taken a bit of a break with the sprites, you can always save this step for last if the sprite work is not currently your priority. If you're also just doing a placeholder, don't have to worry about the index right now. Just put something in there as the placeholder, and then we can move on. So, back to include. We're going to go to sprite_data and let Microsoft Visual Studio load up again because I closed it by accident earlier. The front sprite tiles, is that actually? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay, it is 5. We've gotten this with their matching IDs. That's what we did just now. We have the front sprite tiles on the front here, so we want to go all the way to the bottom of this list. Not quite to the very, very bottom. I'm just going to copy and paste what came before. And 1, 2, 3, 3, 5 Stunfisk, I have no idea why that's there. I'm not going to lie. And I'm actually going to copy this just because Quillactite's a little hard to type every single time. So front sprite tiles has been defined and determined. So now we keep going down. Now we have the back shiny sprites. Gonna go all the way to the bottom here. And then we have this lad. And then back shiny sprite. Small note, if you have problems with the naming and you need to go back, I have put shiny back sprite before instead of back shiny sprite. It is easy to get mixed up. So the tiles have been defined here. And then we're going to get to the front sprite palette. All the way at the bottom. Again. The front sprite 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Quillactite, and instead of tiles, we're going to actually make this palette. For palette. Check that off the list. Do the same thing for the back tile. Where's my guy? There he is. And we're going to change this to Al. And instead of front sprite, we're going to do back shiny sprite. Save that. And then the icon tiles is the last thing to worry about. Now we have icon sprite. And we only have to worry about tiles here because, again, palettes are predetermined and difficult to work with, so we don't worry about those too much. We're just going to change this to icon sprite. This is why we name everything pretty similarly, so we don't have to worry about changing the name significantly every time. So, this is the most difficult thing to keep track of just because there's 5 different things to add. And I definitely forgot to add at least a couple of these the first time. So if you got this part done, that's good. Then you should be set. SRC is going to be all of our different datas based on base stats, cries, the cry table, the learn set, etc. This is where we get to the interesting stuff. So we're going to close out sprite data. We're actually not going to close out anything because last time I did that, it just kind of broke things. Let's go dynamic Pokemon expansion. We're going to go from include to SRC. And the first thing we're going to work with is base stats. This is going to be the base stat of every single Pokemon, and we are going to define and write out our base stats on the very, very bottom. Hey. Hey. Come on. Yep, species Isoquill is right here. This is our previous evolution, so I'm going to copy and paste it. Just to get a general idea. We're going to go ahead and change this to Quillactite. Save that. And we're going to change the base stats up. So, yeah, give me one moment to remember what my base stats plans were for this Pokemon. So Quillactite turns into an Ice Psychic type instead of an Ice type only. Psychic type. So, if you ever have a mono type, you just put the same type in twice, and that'll read as a single typing. Quillactite gets a few upgrades to their different stats. Base attack is still 44. Base defense is now 68 instead of, or sorry, 88 instead of 58. Base special attack is 80. It's got quite a big boost there. Base special defense is 75. And base speed is 50 still. For a total of 415, which I could do the math, but I'm just going to say is right. We'll check later. We can always get it later. You can mess with the EV yields, which I am actually going to do because I didn't really have that before. Let's do it special attack, EV, and I'll change that in icicle as well. And percent female, 50%. That's the gender ratio, which you can look up and kind of gather from other forms. We go to like the Oxus, per se. Mon_genderless would be the gender ratio for no gender, etc. If we went to EV, I believe. Percent female, 12.5. And like Chansey is all female. That's going to be percent female, 100%, etc. So, going back down to Quilactite, 50%, 50-50. Equality! I've woke the game. Made the game fucking woke. XP yield. It's going to be a medium slow. They're at the growth rate here. Friendship, egg groups. I've put them in field. Battle armor, snow warning are the abilities, which we have both abilities right here as well, with the base stats. Hidden ability is in here. Safari Zone flee rate is going to be not available for most, so just put 0. And no flip, I believe, is just if you flip the sprite or not. I don't actually know what this one does. I have to go find out. But for now, if you have your base stats in, they look good. Your type is good. Your abilities are good. The items they could be holding are good. We go ahead and save that. And we move on to the next thing. Base stats have been checked off. And now we're going to go to learn sets. So here we are at learn sets. This is how you determine the level ups of your Pokemon. Firstly, we're going to go all the way up here. We have our Icicle at the very bottom here. Again, I don't know why Galarian Stunfisk is the one at the bottom for some of them, but not all of them. It's just a weird function. Just to keep things simple here and quick, I don't plan on changing much about Quilactite's learn set from Icicle. They're going to be the same because they are part of the same evolution line, so I'm just going to copy paste. And then we have this bottom piece here at the very bottom of this dock, which is the level up learn sets on num species, which just means we have to identify our little dudes one more time. I'll type this one out from scratch. Quilactite equals S Quilactite level up learn set. This just assigns this to the Pokemon, the thing we just typed. Or copy paste it, whatever. Save that, check it off the list. Next up we have Cry Table. We are adding our own Cry data here. Cry_table.c. We have to go all the way to the very bottom. As usual, you get the drill. Very long coding lines. Like fucking literal tens of thousands of code lines each. Selenium forms start here. I've been trying to leave a comment that separates my forms from the game, from the Dynamic Pokemon expansion. But I also forget a lot. Quilactite. And type, key, etc. could just be copied from whatever, if you're doing a regional form. Oop, I see. I didn't. All caps it. You could just copy if you're doing a regional form. If not, you can mess with this a bit. It's just kind of like the key and the length and all of that. I don't know exactly how this stuff works just yet, just how to add the Pokemon. But let's put in Quilactite here, as we do have G-Cry Quilactite already in our folder. When we were preparing this in advance, we have G-Cry Quilactite. It's just a audio It's like slightly edited lava. We're gonna go to audio and drop this boy in. Well, actually, I'm gonna copy paste it because I want to keep it here. Okay, no, it's definitely not copy pasting. There we go. It's in. Can't see it, but it is there somewhere. There it is. Okay. Now that this is in, I've also noticed that these all have underscore flags, which is very likely that these are all developed like after construction, like after you assemble your ROM and everything, so Collectite will just get its own already. But just to be sure, all of them are -C anyway, so I just kind of copy one of them and just turn it into Collectite instead. Not exactly sure what that does for me, but, you know, just being safe with it. So, we've added to the cry table, and I'm even going to say that I'm going to copy this for a second, because what we're going to do next is go into cry underscore table 2, and we'll see that in a second. src cry underscore table 2, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Why are there 2 cry tables? I have no idea, but it does break if you don't add both. So it's kind of like the potato and half in the orange box, the potato PNG. Can't stop it. Okay. G-cry collectite has been defined in cry table 2. Got all of that saved in, and we can check that off the list. We've added the WAVs to the cry and the audio folder. That's been done. Item underscore animation underscore table is next up. Item underscore table. And we're going to add our own little entry here. A lot of these are 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And I'm going to do the same for my buddy. Just going to change the name. Save. That's done. Habitat table. Habitat table, we have the different kinds of areas that they can be. Like rough terrain, sea, water's edge, page. And usually these are like small groups of things, and you add pages of them. And I have added a single page for Icicle. A rough terrain page 29. I've just created this, and I'm going to add species underscore collectite to it. Also, I never put a comma there, so I wonder if that actually did anything. It probably didn't yet, but it probably would have this time. And if you go to the very bottom, there's going to be this big list that defines all of these pages. If you do add a new one, you want to go to its respective thing. So rough terrain is what I've been using. I've added this in myself to define this new page. So that is done. Enemy elevation table up next. Almost all of these are 0 by 0. This has to do with like elevation on the front sprite, and if yours has anything to do with, like, if I go to like the lava, if yours original form for any reason, you can just check what it is and kind of go from there. But as of right now, we have species underscore collectite equals 0 by 0. Save that, check it off the list. Go to the evolution table. Now this is one I haven't done. But it's pretty simple, and this is the reason I went with collectite, so I can show this step, because I actually haven't done this yet. So if your Pokemon has an evolution, it's here. It has to do with Evo items, Thunderstone, potentially Evo level 7, Evo level 10 for Metapod. And these zeros. Not exactly sure what the zeros are for. But I'm going to go ahead and actually take this directly from Bulbasaur. because it's going to also evolve at level 16. I'm going to come up directly at the bottom. And I'm going to start... here, because I haven't done this yet. So if it breaks, we know why. I'm going to paste Bulbasaur in here, but I'm going to change it to Icicle. Equals Evo level 16, and it will not turn into an Ivysaur, believe it or not. It'll actually turn into our guy that we're getting in right now. So, this is added. If you have an evolution, this is where you'd put it. And now we move on. Check this bad boy off. Go to Pokedex data table. Add your own entry, as we do. We have all of these national dex entries, as you see. We have National Dex Calyrex, and they have their King and Space. We have Swift Horse Pokemon for Spectrier. For Icicle, we have Icicle Pokemon. I was going to try to do Icicle Mouse, but it doesn't actually fit. Because of it's like Fire Mouse Pokemon for Cyndaquil. But for the time being, we're going to copy this and make a new version for our guy, Quilactite. I have honestly been going off of, I've been copy-pasting, this was a copy-paste of Cyndaquil, and then I've just changed it up a little bit and changed it to Icicle instead of Fire, and stuff like that. If you're doing regional forms, you can base it off of a lot, and if not, you have to kind of start from scratch, but I'd still, copy-paste something just so you have all of these different categories correct already. And just fix everything as needed. Make sure you change the Dex entry to Dex entry Quilactite, which has not been defined yet, but we will be making it soon. Pokemon Scale, Offset are all fine. Which actually, I'm gonna go take this from Kalava. So I was just talking about that. It could have a different trainer offset and everything, and height and weight are all going to be different. So we're actually going to take that instead. Change that. Unused description can kind of be whatever. I just kind of take from what Diamond Pokemon expansion uses, but description itself will be Dex underscore entry underscore Galactic. Sometimes things don't work because you forget to add a comma at the end, just so you know, so be careful with that. Go ahead and Pokedex table is done. Pokedex underscore orders.c is next up. And this will order the regional dex depending on how you want it done. This is just the Pokedex order for the regional, for the Kanto region. And then later on we have Pokedex order for height, and then the type, and those are kind of all automatically done. For the time being, Icicle is on the very top, mostly because I wanted to see if it would work, so I'm going to put Quilactite as the second. And this will also offset all of your other options. So Bulbasaur is actually number 3 on the dex now, but don't worry about that. I'll be worried about for a more finished ROM hack. Right now we're trying to just make sure this works. You can actually just insert these wherever you want. I'm just kind of putting them on the front. So Pokedex order's done. Species underscore tube underscore Pokedex underscore table. Species to Pokedex. We have similar thing here. I put Icicle on the top. All of these are going to be the species -1 equals national underscore dex underscore Pokemon name. Done and done. It starts to speed up a little bit as you get to this point. Now we're going to get to another slower part, which is adding the entries for the chords of all of your front of your sprites. This is more sprite work. Sprites are kind of like the most tedious part of this. So front pick chords, front pick table are both things we have to work with. Front pick chord. If you're doing a regional, you want to just kind of copy what you got here and go from there. Otherwise, this might take a little bit of adjusting because this has to do with the size and offset of your sprite, and you can't really see that until you make the build. But if you're doing a regional form of some kind, usually just taking the size and offset from the original Pokemon is fine. Front pick chords and... Oh, not footprint table. Wait, that's for later. Front pick table. Did we mention footprint table? We don't. I haven't done anything with it yet. I'm pretty sure you could, but... maybe I did. I'll have to go check. It's on the list. I have to add it. Maybe I just forgot about it. So on front pick table, all of these look pretty much exactly the same. It's a very complicated looking equation, but it's just species underscore galactite equals curly brackets the front sprite 1, 2, 3, 5 galactite tiles. Remember when we identified that earlier? Parentheses 64 by 64, which is the size of our pixels, size of the sprite. There we go. And then species underscore galactite. Oh, and put a comma at the end. Don't forget the comma. Never forget the comma. That's kind of the most important part. I'm also going to copy this because we're going to be doing a similar thing a couple more times as we move on to palette underscore table. Gonna go to the very, very bottom. And we are going to, instead of galactite tiles, we're going to make a galactite pal. We're going to get rid of the 64 by 64 divided by 2. And have species underscore galactite, comma, 0 by 0. That's all good, just making sure I did that right. Galactite. It's such a spelling. It's certainly a spelling of all time. I wonder who did that. It was me. Okay, backpick chords. We're doing the same thing pretty much as we did just up here, just with the backpick and the shiny chords. Or the shiny palette. Getting tired of talking. Not gonna lie. This is like my project for the day. Okay. Selenium forms start here. Similarly, I'm going to look up Quilava, take its size and offset, because that's the easiest way to do this without breaking things or having to mess with things if you're doing regional forms. Otherwise, you just kind of have to mess with it. Quilava here, and we just change this to galactite. Beep, beep. Save. Backpick table. We're so back. Remember this shit. Isoquil is here. Oops. Oops. Here, let's just take Isoquil. G-Back Shiny Sprite. 1, 2, 3, 5. Galactite tiles. 64 by 64 by 2. Species underscore galactite. Save that. And then we're going to go to Shiny, wherever that is, Shiny palette table. Go to the bottom. And type this out again. Which honestly, I can go to the other palette table from earlier. And just take that. Work smarter, not harder, you know? Also, not sure why you need to add plus num species here, but you just do. Don't worry about it. Just trust the process, you know? This is specifically for the shiny palette. So we have these three. And then we have the icon palette and the icon table. These are going to be the same as before. So, icon palette table. We have a specific set of different palettes that you can have for your tiles. And for Icicle's case, and for Quilava's case, I believe, it's 0 by 0. It's the default. Let's go ahead and double check Quilava just to make sure. Quilava uses 0 by 1. Okay. So that's what I used to edit my sprite in terms of palette for the icon. So I'm actually going to follow that. Species underscore quilactite equals 0 by 1 instead of 0 by 0. Okay, and then icon table. Gonna make your own entry. Species underscore quilactite. Why did they do it like that? Equals G icon sprite. 1, 2, 3, 5. Well, just fill that in. Save that. Okay. Now we got all this done. Now we only have a couple more things to do. And they're more fun stuff. So, how long have I been recording? 53 minutes? Yeah, okay, this is going to be a fun tutorial, huh? Pokedex underscore data underscore string. So we're done with SRC. We don't have to worry about this anymore. Now we're going to strings. We only have 2 things to do in here. Lobotomy compression. What the fuck? Anyway. Okay. This one's on Visual Studio Code. I believe that Visual Studio proper can take it too. But I've opened the string here. So Pokedex data string. We have our very own. Here, I'm going to make this a full screen. We're going to go all the way to the very bottom, and we have dex entries for everything here. I have noticed that this is about as much as the Pokedex can take before it starts overlapping, unless you change something about the Pokedex's like font size or length that is available. And roughly every 34 characters, I believe, you want to do \n to go to the next line. So we're going to go ahead and make quilactites. This is probably going to need fixing because it's a little too long. But just for the sake of showing it not working, we're gonna save it and leave it here. So Pokedex entry added. That's another one on the list. And Pokedex underscore name underscore table. Very simple, very similar. Just open with code. Max length equals 10. And we have the very bottom. This is just how they decapitalize everything. So hashtag org at name underscore quilactite. And then we just do that. Save. And then we are done with dynamic Pokemon expansion. Before we do all of the compiling and building, I'm going to take us back to complete fire red upgrade because there are 2 things that we need to add here. ASM underscore defines.s, which is right here in assembler, and we're opening up Microsoft Visual Studio again. Welcome back. We need to go to the bottom of the species. Specifically, I forgot items are also here. It's roughly at this point in the document. And we want to add our own species. Whoops. Oh, I'm tabbing. Quilactite. 0 by... I can F, right? Okay. 50F. And then this would be 50 or 5A1 next. That's gonna be fun. But save that. Mark it, and then include /constant /species. So in complete fire red upgrade, we go to include constants and species. And this is where we define this in this code. find species underscore quillactite 0 by 50f. And we have num species here as well, similar to the first step we did. We're going to change this to our most recent addition. And now we're good. Now it's time to compile. Okay, so you have everything ready. You're going to take your current ROM that you have, go to Dynamic Pokemon Expansion, and put it back in here. And similarly to when we installed the thing, we're going to do BPRE0. We're going to open a PowerShell window. We're going to clean it. And then we're going to make it. And this is going to take us quite a few minutes to process, so I will be back when this finishes. Actually, you know, I had a feeling this was going to happen. I misspelled it in a certain spot. It was in habitat underscore table, so let's go ahead and fix that. Quillactite. There you go. Alright. And I think you can just make .py again, but I always like to just reopen the PowerShell window, just to be safe. Clean, make. See, I'm debugging in the game, or in the video right now, because I'm having trouble. So, undefined reference. Let's figure out what that means. The icon sprite is the issue. Let me double check here. There is a lot of different things that you do in this whole process, so it will do stuff like this. There will be a certain point where you misspelled it or messed it up in some way. Oh, the problem is I never put in the icon sprite. That's nice. Okay. Well, that's that. Let's try it again. Alright. While I'm waiting for this, I'm going to get complete fire red upgrade next. So once the code is inserted, we have the test. And we're going to copy and put this into complete fire red upgrade, so fire red upgrade can know about quillactite. BPRE0. We need to also get complete fire red upgrade acquainted. Alright, everything is compiled. This is the moment of truth. We had no errors. This will, in theory, be my new selenite, but just to make sure, I'm just going to move this out. Just to be safe. Rename the test to my new guy. And we're going to close out all of these in Hexmaniac Advance. Go ahead and open our new version. This is the moment of truth. Pokemon is not visible. That's not a good sign. Oh, I know why. Hang on. It's this damn TOML file every time. Sometimes you, when you make a new version of your mod, or of your ROM, you have to reset the TOML file. Just because of Hexmaniac Advance has its predefined limits and such, and if you don't have it right, it gets a little messed up. But here at the very, very bottom, we have a new person. We have a new friend. And it looks like I actually did it right first try this time. For the most part, that's not correct. I actually don't know why that is. But, you know, everything else works for now. What the heck? What happened here? Oh, it's using Quillava's icon. Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Give me a moment. Let me go fix that. Alright, so update. As it turns out, I know what happened to the icon. So in my trash ROM, I did this as well. I messed with Isoquil. In here, I made its icon, its sprite, everything in here. And this looked fine, right? But turns out, in actuality, this is not the correct palette. I adjusted this palette before I understood how indexing worked and how the icons worked. So this is the actual icon with the correct palette. It's a lot more limited than this one because I have to use this color palette. But what this basically means for Quillactite is I just need to redo the sprite work in here for now. Alright, got her fixed up in the correct color palette. We're gonna go ahead and save. Oh my goodness, my cat is going absolutely bonkers while I'm trying to record this. I wonder if the mic's picking him up. I need to go give him attention in a minute. Okay. So we run the game. We have the Icicle. He's still doing good. He still has powder snow, you know, normal stuff. But now that we've done all those previous steps, we can pop some pear candies on this boy and actually get him up to our next evolution, which was the whole point of this video and the tutorial and all that. Have quick attack, buddy. There you go. And now at level 16, Icicle will evolve into our newly added boy. I still need to clean up the sprite a little bit. I think the front head sprite doesn't really match up. So like the kind of like front Icicle glaive is kind of on the opposite direction. See, we got that fixed up. And if we go into battle, I can show you what I was talking about. The front Icicle kind of has like a blade look to it on the front sprite, and I think it looks really nice. There's also the fact that there's like little spines of icicles going down his back in the front sprite, but not the back sprite. I sometimes miss little details like that. I'll have to go back and fix, but now we have Quilactite fully implemented. We can even see that it learns moves as it should. At level 19, it was supposed to learn Confusion, and I only say that and remember that because I've tested this already. I had to fix the icon. But we do have Confusion at level 19. And we can learn that, go back out for a minute, go to the Pokedex. We still have Icicle from last time I did this, and then we have Quilactite. And as I said, it probably wouldn't fit. This entry doesn't fit, so I'd have to adjust it a bit, but that's the basics of it. I want to update the sprite a little bit more, and kind of work on it a little bit more, but for now, I'm going to try and work on uploading this video because it's been a long one. So thank you for watching. If you are just someone random, if you're one of my team members helping out with the game, I hope this helped. If you're just working on ROM hacks, I hope this helped. And I'll see you guys next time I do one of these or talk about progress for my ROM hack. Thanks.